Welcome to this presentation of EasyPay, JDE One Credit Card e-check automation and PCI security solution. We certainly appreciate JDE Tips announcing this webinar for us, and we want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time to take in this presentation. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Doug Pulaski, our sales manager, and Matt Minchuk, product manager for EasyPay.
Thank you, Ken. This is Doug Pulaski, and my PowerPoints are going to be at a minimum because we want to focus on showing you our solution and how our solution is integrated fully inside of JD Edwards, and how it can also be used as a customer online portal for bill pay. So I'll briefly go through the slides here. Let me make sure they're activated. There we go. So first off, a little bit about KRise. KRise, we're a company about 12 years in existence. We focus on the JD Edwards ERP space, 90%. We do have other affiliations with SAP, Oracle eBusiness, Microsoft, specifically the Exacta. But 90% of our business is focused on JD Edwards. Personally, my background, it's been 18 years both as a JD Edwards employee and working here. And we have a large footprint, and we're only going to cover a portion of it today. So if you notice my cursor here, I'm circling EasyPay. That's what today's webinar is about. But we have 4 practice areas in terms of the solutions, and all of them are fully integrated against JD Edwards Enterprise One and World. So we have an e-commerce solution, and actually EasyPay, one version of EasyPay lives inside of our e-commerce for companies that want the credit card functionality. So we have that. We have a solution suite, a very robust solution suite tied to like a supplier portal, vendor self-service, PO requisitioning. So that's under our vendor buyer category. And then we have HR employee self-service. Everybody can see the slide. You can see the areas of functionality that we have there. And we actually have a 4th, custom applications. But today we're going to be talking about EasyPay. And this slide simply is to convey, and these are logos representing a subset of our JDE customers. So this slide is to prove that the product's been out there. It's used by a lot of noted brands such as Mercury Marine Division of Brunswick and Fox, that's Fox LA, Los Angeles, and many mid-sized and small companies use our solution, our solutions with an S. Okay, first off, a little bit about EasyPay. As I mentioned, my background is with JD Edwards. Credit card functionality is a white space in vanilla JD Edwards Enterprise One or World. So with EasyPay, we've taken we made some decisions about how EasyPay works so that both from an automation perspective, in other words, streamlining the sales orders, whether it's a CSR working in the P4210 or Power Forms, or whether it's a customer paying an invoice, so that the automation is there in terms of usability and getting the job done easily and efficiently. And then we've also addressed the PCI issues, which deals with your liability as a merchant. When you ask your customers for their credit card or e-check information, you're liable. You're under PCI laws and regulations and how you manage that. So we've taken the highest degree. I won't get into the detail with the webinar, but all of the cardholder data, even the entry of it, and this is a key thing because some of our competitors out there, they still present a web form that's associated to their server, and if their server is on your JDE server, JDE is in scope. So we've taken the processing, the transmit, the storage, 100%, it's at the gateway through what's called a hosted payment gateway hosted payment pages, which is an iframe. We're doing an iframe, so the entry is at the payment gateway like CyberSource or PayPal, and then we're using the payment gateway vault in terms of the storage. And then I'm going to get into the other points noted there, but the bottom line is that basic architecture that I have some diagrams on, whatever scenario of usage, and I'm outlining in red here that we're first going to show with our demonstration a call center, a CSR person, and they want to designate the JDE sales order as credit card payment, and they want the full automation in order to either enter the card or use an existing profile, which is the mask representation if it's already been entered, and easily complete the, really it's two transactions if you think about it, the JDE transaction and then the credit card transaction dealing with the authorization and the settlement. And even there's a third area, the cash receipt process, the batch AR updates. And then another use case scenario that we're going to be reviewing is open collections from a back office perspective. So this would be your finance or the call center or the accounting people making a credit card payment against an open AR invoice. And then we're going to show a use case scenario of a customer online bill pay. Customers directly will show me my outstanding invoices, them selecting, he or her selecting an invoice or invoices and making a payment. And then we're also doing it from an e-commerce. So we don't care what the e-commerce package is. We've got an e-commerce package called the EasyCommerce. Magento is a very popular open source WebSphere commerce server. It doesn't, Shopatron, there's hundreds of shopping cart packages, homegrown, so we're going to show it from that perspective. And then the other thing that we highlighted in the webinar email was we believe we're the only, and you got to be careful because software companies can change overnight, but we believe that we're the only 100% SaaS cloud offering. So if you look at, on-prem or on-premises, you do have like IT control, but the negatives of on-premises with any software implementation are obviously the infrastructure costs. SQL Server licensing, I've been told, is not cheap, and that's what we require. An IIS, a Microsoft IIS server, could be physical or virtual with one user license of SQL Server. And then you need the various environments like JD Edwards, development, test, and production. And so there's a lot of work involved in setting up the infrastructure. That's all removed. We use the Rackspace cloud. Rackspace being one of the most noted cloud SaaS providers out there. It's as PCI compliant of a data center as you can possibly get. And I'll just leave it at that. And I don't have to read this. Everybody can see the slide. And I'm going to be emailing the slide right afterwards. But let's talk about our architecture. So EasyPay, think of the EasyPay application in the simplest sense as we're the traffic cop that manages the credit card transaction, whether it's a JDE sales order or an invoice with collections, between JD Edwards and the payment gateway. So we need connection. We have to have the integration. We're going to be showing this from JD Edwards, and you can see, whether it's the P4210 or PowerPoint's P42101, and a hosted payment form. So this is what I was talking in regards to the highest level of PCI. We're no longer, the EasyPay application no longer deals directly with cardholder data. It's 100% at the payment gateway, and we support any payment gateway of your choice. And that could be, and I mentioned CyberSource and Authorize.net, and by the way, those are two Visa-owned companies. PayPal, our Canadian customers, many of them have a preference for Moneris, BMO Moneris, which is Bank of Montreal, BluePay, which is a partner out there, Adian, they're a big up-and-coming company. So we create these APIs against the payment gateway. That's a good thing for you because you carry the contract, and You know, when it comes to what you pay, the gateway and the processor, you want to have that under your control. I hear this all the time from Treasury departments. They do a review. They want to make sure, and sometimes their processor, be it, say, Chase or Wells Fargo, yeah, it's directly related to their merchant bank, but other times they do want the flexibility of price shopping, because that 2 or 3, the cost of a credit card, and I don't have to tell this to anybody out there, it's high, especially when you factor that it's hitting your direct bottom line, your direct margins. And that's why, by the way, just as a side note, a lot of people on the collection side will only allow, will fully allow, say, e-check, because e-check is ACH, it's, you know, bank to bank, very, very low cost overhead for you, and then selectively allow customers, say, with credit card, because, you know, if they're using an American Express card, that could be close to a 3% hit. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Rather than getting into the details here, I kind of did it from a high level. So this hosted payment form, you're actually entering your credentials on the payment gateway. It's stored on the payment gateway. A token is that masked representation, the XXX, last 4 digits. A token is not cardholder data. And that's why with our solution, you're completely out of PCI scope. But you can then use that token for credit return, subsequent orders. Makes it very, very easy. Now, this is the same diagram, but the difference here is you notice that we're not just saying J.D. Edwards, third-party applications like Homegrown or Magento or whatever application you might have, EasyCommerce, which is our e-commerce solution, so it's a little bit different, and you'll see that. And the way, by the way, we're able to enable this, call it utmost flexibility in providing the necessary integration from any application, is because the underlying platform of our software is a software development environment. And so a good way of putting it is, if you're looking at other vendors, they're coming from a perspective of creating a deliverable to you that they write directly in Java or .NET or PHP or you know, some type of programming language, and that's their deliverable to you. Ours is a little bit different. We're coming from a software development integration platform, and so that platform, and by the way, the platform, there's no coding at all. It's a rapid application development, so it's widgets, it's web parts, it's a workflow canvas, it's a business logic canvas. So, and part of that foundation is the web services and the iframe connectivity that's involved in so many e-commerce projects. And here's just an example of some of our standard out-of-the-box e-commerce. So somebody with Magento, you can see get invoice, get orders, order history, everything that they need with J.D. Edwards integration and the credit card or e-check process. We pretty much have it already, and we just put that code. They consume that code within their application, either as a web service or an iframe, and it simply works. And so getting back to the cloud, the benefits. This is from CyberSource, and because we're an authorized partner, we do have permission. This is off of the CyberSource website. So the cloud, obviously. You're eliminating, by going cloud, the credit card server is in, like I said, at rack space. So this is the benefits. You're removing the PCI requirements across the business, and that's what it's showing. CyberSource also did a very extensive, they're a much bigger company than us. It's Visa. CyberSource is Visa. They've got 300,000 customers, so they tout the benefit of going cloud. This is off of CyberSource, and you can see when you factor personnel costs, technology costs, the PCI compliance costs, and they did this very recent study across hundreds of companies that generated at least 25 million in credit card. And the reality is, J.D. Edwards, we're dealing with companies many times, they reach a level of 25 credit card orders a day and they say, hey, we need a solution. But it all scales to basically the same thing. Whether you're a big company or a smaller company, there are tremendous benefits going the hosted route. So the way that we did PCI, you can almost look at it from two perspectives. By removing the cardholder data, when you get into the 12 PCI requirements that you are mandated to maintain, we're removing requirements 1, 3, 4, and 9, simply our base architecture. And this is whether it's on premises or whether it's in a cloud. So this is huge. Even on premises, we're totally compliant, and I want to offer that because for some companies, creating virtual IaaS servers, it's not a big deal. But then if you look at the specifics with the 12, okay, 1, 3, 4, and 9 per cyber source, and just about any expert, when you remove the cardholder data by using hosted payment page and tokenization at the payment gateway. But if you go cloud, look at all of the remaining bullet items, and I highlighted it with yellow. You're pretty much removing everything. You get into a PCI audit, and it's very easy because the PCI audit, you're basically saying, oh, our credit card servers at Rackspace and all of the cardholder data, 100% is at the payment gateway. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. It was a little bit more wordy than I wanted, so I'm going to turn the presentation over to Matt. So Matt's our product manager. And Matt, you got your, there you go.
All right. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to jump into the live EasyPay demonstration. We're going to start off by looking at the use case of a back-end user logging into JD Edwards to go ahead and place a credit card order.
A sales order you're talking about.
Yes.
Like a CSR or call center person, and they're working native JD Edwards, Enterprise One, any version. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to log into our JD environment here. We'll go ahead and...
And by the way, last week we got our 9.2 environment up and running, so in a couple of weeks we're no longer going to be showing 9.0 like we are right now.
So we're going to go ahead and fill out some header level information on our sales order. So Easy Payment has some processing options on what actually triggers Easy Payment to come up when a sales order is placed. So right now we have it configured to check for the payment instrument is equal to question mark, which is a credit card payment.
It's soft coded, so it could be payment terms, payment instrument.
It's actually it's a processing option in our application. So just providing that is going to tell JD Edwards, okay, this is a credit card order. We need to reference Easy Payment. So we'll go ahead and continue on to our details. And we'll enter a few items here. Okay. So a few items, and then now we'll go ahead and click OK. It asks us for confirmation. Now the order is placed in JD Edwards, and it forwards us to our Easy Payment iPad.
Because we put question mark under payment instruments, which indicated this is a credit card order. And the other thing I want to mention here is what you're seeing here specifically is a PQ99 form. Our application is OVI certified, so Oracle has issued to KRISE System 99 codes. Because we're living inside of, figuratively living inside of the sales order management of JD Edwards, it's very important that we're OVI certified, and it's very important like with our test version of this, we used the system codes, or the custom codes F55, and Oracle doesn't want us to do that. Not only that, but to get OVI certified, Oracle says, okay, we're assigning you System 99 codes KRIs so that there's absolutely no object conflict when the customers out there are upgrading JD Edwards or you're working with your application. We at Oracle JD Edwards are fully aware of it.
Absolutely. So included in some of those processing options that we were talking to is the configurability for pointing to the correct EasyPayment instance. So this is how you can have your dev, test, production environments corresponding correctly in your JD Edwards as well.
And by the way, you notice the overview. Really, it's an extra step because it's a credit card sales order. Otherwise, it would be simply finalized right now as an AR terms. So we're bringing it up at the top so that the call center CSR person knows, hey, this is the order number. It's an SO order type. There's the company that we're processing the order against. Now, inside of our admin, we can set up things like the fudge. So the fudge, for most companies, they want to separate, for most JD Edwards companies, they want to separate the authorization from the settlement. It's like Amazon. Your card is not billed until it's finally shipped. And that's the way it is with most JD Edwards companies. So for the authorization, it's like the rental car. You go to a rental car agency, they put some fudge on it, Enterprise and Hertz and Dollar, they're all different. But when you return the car and they check the gas and no dents, then they do the settlement right there, and you'll see it impacted a day or two later against your issuing bank credit card account. And so we're doing the same thing with that. We could have a fudge, so we could take the sum and say 10% or however the fudge is you want it to calculate. It's formula-based. And then we're also, and this is optional, we're putting a miscellaneous in there so the CSR or the call center person might have the discretion. There's some people that tell us, hey, we've got certain items, and our CSRs know that they're weighted heavy and the freight's going to be higher, allow them to do a higher level of authorization. So that's the reason that the miscellaneous field there is an edit box.
Absolutely. So if you notice when I was placing the order, the 4802 order, I typed in 4242 as the customer number. That's where EasyPayment knows to go ahead and retrieve that specific customer's saved credit card profiles. So that's the list that we're looking at. This means that this credit card was either saved by another CSR rep, or it might have even been saved by the customer himself using something like an e-commerce application as well.
And this might not be realistic. I think most situations, many companies tell us that their customers only have one credit card profile, but I would say the majority of our customers say they do deal with multiple payment profiles, and you're seeing there it could either be a e-check, in other words, routing number tied to a checking or savings account, or a credit card. So, we've got a lot of profiles, but once again, that profile either is already entered, so this is the way it shows up. The PAN, the account number, as it's known in PCI, is showing a masked out and only the last 4 digits. So somebody can easily pay right now by just putting in the security code and the amount, or if you wanted to add a new credit card, that's where the new add new payment button comes into play.
Okay. You want to take a look at that?
Yeah, let's do that.
So add new payment, this is where the payment gateway hosted payment form comes in play. So if we look at this page itself, this page right now we're connected to our BluePay payment gateway. This page is hosted at BluePay itself. If we actually go to source, I don't know how to do it in IE. Well, we'll take a look at it in Chrome and
That's okay.
look at the source. Yeah.
But this is what I was referring to. The entry, and PCI is very, very specific about the entry of the card, and what they call the processing, the transmit, and the storage. With our old application, we were presenting this entry form directly from EasyPay, the EasyPay server. Yeah, there it is, right there.
So if you look at the properties, this form is actually coming from secure.bluepay.com. So when they actually enter that credit card information, it is going directly to the payment gateway. It never touches our EasyPay application.
In this form, and we're doing iframe it's iframe technology that's taken us to this page, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this form is fully brandable. When you're in Nike and you're on the payment page, they're doing hosted payment page. It looks just like Nike. Also, this form can come up inside of the window. We're showing it as a new window. You might want it to be inside of the existing page. As anybody knows, when you hyperlink, it could be, you know, new page, what we're doing here, or inside the content of the existing page. We're trying to be more dramatic in showing you that this is, you know, an iframe payment gateway hosted page that we're entering the card in.
Absolutely. So once that credit card is saved or whatever entered by the user, then they can go ahead and look at the saved profiles that they have and apply the remaining balance across as many as you want. So if you wanted to apply the full amount to the top card, you can do that. Or you can actually go and split it across multiple payments. So you can see as I type here, the remaining balance is dropping. And then it will not continue unless the remaining balance is 0. So now that we've split it across the cards, we can hit Authorize Payment.
Authorize Payment button is the equivalent of the card swipe. We're doing what's called a post.
Yep. So it went to the payment gateway via the APIs provided, and go ahead and, I guess you can say, swiped the 4 cards that we've selected. And then if we scroll down here, we get the transaction history. So it gives us all the cards we use along with the amounts. And then we included the transaction ID returned as well as the authorization number from the payment gateway.
Now in a normal demo, we might get more detailed and go into CyberSource or PayPal or BluePay and show you the transaction there. And if you want us to do that with you, we will. We want to cover a lot today, so we'll keep it at a step above. But this PQ99 form, this is part of the sales order. It's part of a role exit now that you have. So the one and only change that you need to do in your enterprise one to enable this is, and it's a very easy process. It is a named event rule, but to make this work, and once again, Oracle certified it, but this is a role exit, which you need if there's a return on an item or a return on the whole order. Or you need to not only credit CO, order type and JD Edwards, but you got to deal with the credit card credit too.
Absolutely. And just demonstrating that, this is the row exit Doug was talking about. So you can get back to that screen at any point once the order is placed. So it brings you back in like an inquiry mode. Everything is kind of grayed out, telling you everything's okay. But if at any point, let's say during the capture or settlement process, a card or a payment gets declined, I don't know if you saw before, there was a drop-down list. We can look at the failed captures and then go ahead and reauthorize against the cards.
Now let's talk about the remaining steps with order to cash. Really, most of the work, and a big part of it is, you see the CVV there, that's the security code. The security code per PCI can't be stored in any way, shape, or form. It has to be entered. And those decisions are yours. You're carrying the contract against the gateway, and you probably have an existing processor that supports our gateways, or they have their own gateway that we can write to. And by the way, the payment gateway is for what the industry calls mail order telephone or card not present orders. So e-commerce orders, orders by a customer service rep inside of JD Edwards. That's why you need a gateway to then connect to a processor. Some organizations like Moneris, they're both a gateway and a processor, and BluePay is the same way. CyberSource is a pure gateway, but basically, what we have with our solution is we support any variation of with this EasyPay application.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we'll jump over to the CSR.
Right. But real quick, what would happen in a real life scenario is you just did, this is order crate. So we're doing the authorization at order crate. Now it goes through to print pick slip and the pack process, and it gets to a point where you want it to be settled. Settlement is an automated process. You've got an outstanding authorization. Now here's the big thing about settlement. We're smart enough to know that, number one, there could be split line conditions, back orders and that. We're smart enough, and when I say we're smart enough, I'm talking about the EasyPay application, to know that there's order maintenance. That order, you might be adding items, deleting items, changing quantity. So the logic associated with EasyPay manages that process. So if the order increases and that delta difference, you want, in fact, to go out and capture that. There's a lot of processing options. We have some companies, and they so trust their customer base, and their customer base doesn't like that credit hold, so they only do a $1 authorization. They know the funds are going to be there, and maybe they do the settlement, and once again, the settlement is up to you. Once you have the invoice details, and many times for a company that might be the UPS scale at the shipping dock, creating the freight line. Once you have the details, then, and we can do it off of a UBE or a status code, it doesn't matter, we can initiate the settlement, and there is a rare chance that the settlement can decline, with like stolen card and such, and you're aware of all of that with workflow and emails. EasyPay lets you know that. And then the third part of the process is the batch AR update. And we do the, basically, once it's settled, we do a batch AR update and update the FOB 311 and all the other related tables, closing out that sales order and invoice as it should be closed out as a credit card sales order.
Yep. Absolutely. Just to hit on some of the things you were talking about, these are the status codes that we have set up in our JD Edwards. Essentially 551 is going to tell EasyPayment to go ahead and settle or capture that amount against a specific credit card. And then if something was declined, it would go to 552. If something was successful, I believe it goes to 560. But this is all processing options in both JD Edwards and EasyPayment.
And you could do it with the sales order activity status code rules, or you could do it with hold codes. Some people prefer to do it with hold codes. It's up to you.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to switch over to our e-commerce application, and we're going to show you 3 more use case scenarios. This next one is going to be customer service rep logging in and paying an invoice for a customer. So we're going to log into our EasyCommerce as Kim Dole.
So we're using our EasyCommerce application to do this, but this could be if you've got a SharePoint portal, if you've got an intranet, the way that you can utilize the EasyPay application. You would tell us half of our implementations are working against some existing single sign-on portal, intranet or even extranet portal. We're going to show you the extranet in just a second from a customer online bill pay. But basically, look at the steps involved, and simply our application being a skin on top of JD Edwards for the purpose of collections, which is paying an open invoice.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so once we're logged in as the customer service rep, they're presented with a screen essentially where they can search through for a list of their customers that they want to pay the invoice for. So we're going to select 4242.
So this step here, because an employee, an end customer is directly associated with an address book. That's an association of their user profile. An employee is an employee. So it's just like, selecting an address book. That's what we're doing there. And on the previous screen, if you wanted to select by zip code or phone number or, alpha search against the name like we showed, it's totally up to you. But that's what they're doing. They're saying, okay, I want to pay an invoice, but the first thing I got to do is bring up the invoices specific to a customer. So that's what Matt is showing right now.
Yep, absolutely. So once I click Set as this customer, you're essentially logged in as that specific account number. So you can see here at the top, we're logged in as Colorado Suppliers, shows us our billing and shipping address, and then we have the option to switch to a different customer. So once you've selected a customer, then you can go to Account and look at Open Invoice and Payment. So this shows us a list of all of our open invoices against our 4242 billing account. And you can see here at the top we have a few filters and a search button where you can go ahead and filter the list that you see below.
And this filter, it's just like J.D. Edwards filtering. But you decide. If you wanted to filter against the salesperson field, in 2 seconds we can expose the salesperson. And it's a compound filter. So if there's a lot of open invoices, maybe you just want to type in a specific, in fact do that, type in one specific invoice number there, Matt, up on the filter. Yeah,
I was just copying one.
All right. So you can see, so you can do a from and to date or a specific invoice or a date range. And you tell us what the criteria is. But go ahead and open it back up. Thanks.
So I'll clear my filters back out.
Or status. You can put up their status too.
Absolutely. Okay, so once you've filtered your list, you went through the invoices, then you can go ahead and you can view the open amounts, and then you can select which invoices you'd like to pay. So you can do a select all, or you can individually check an invoice. So checking it pulls over the open amount into an editable text box. This is also a processing option. If you want to force them to just pay the full amount of the invoice, that's definitely an option. Just for the example, we're leaving it open to edit. We also have this print and PDF invoice generation. So print opens up our view of the invoice in our system. You can also either generate a PDF real-time or retrieve a PDF from something like a document management system as well. So clicking this will actually download or open a PDF. There we go. So there's the PDF of the invoice.
And that would be especially useful. The next use case scenario, we're going to show a customer online bill pay, which is very similar to this, but you might have a crate form or an Optio, a representation. The other print was simply auto PDF. We were just going to the tables in J.D. Edwards and doing an auto PDF generate on that.
Absolutely. Okay, so continuing on to the actual invoice payment, let's go ahead and select just one extra invoice here. So once you select your invoices, you can then proceed to payment. This is going to take us over to kind of like our confirm order screen. So it's going to show you an overview of all the invoices that you've selected, the remaining amounts for each one, and now we're also going to see the payment pad, which is the interface that we've also saw in J.D. Edwards. This is really the heart of EasyPayment, so you're going to see this multiple times throughout the demo. So once we reach this screen, it's essentially the same thing. You can go ahead and look at your remaining balance and then apply the remaining amounts across as many cards as you'd like. So I'll go ahead and do that against the 2 cards and hit authorize. So in this case, since this is an invoice payment, we're not doing a pre-auth and then a capture. We're doing a direct
sale.
A direct sale against.
Which is both.
Yep.
From a gateway, it's combining the authorization and a capture together as a sale.
Absolutely. So you can see now, instead of saying amount authorized, it says amount captured
Or settled, right?
Yep. 848.60. Well, captured, it hasn't been settled yet. Settled means you've received the funds into your bank account. It happens like 2 days after the capture.
And then the transaction, if you scroll down there. So once again, like Matt said, that payment pad we're trying to make as universal and easy to understand as possible, whether it's a finance accounting person doing this in the back office on the phone with a customer regarding outstanding invoice, going through this process, or it's the same look and feel for a sales order like we just showed.
Absolutely. So we can also see now our remaining amounts on these invoices are zero. We can actually go to our paid invoices and receipts, and we can look at the cash receipt that was generated from that invoice payment.
So those are the top two there are what we just paid, batch number. In fact, this is a good time to go back to J.D. Edwards, say with the batch number, and show exactly what we did in J.D.
Sure.
Edwards with the applying the credit card against the invoice.
First off, we'll let me get the invoice number, and we can show that that invoice is actually paid in J.D. Edwards. Standard invoice entry. Go ahead and look up invoice 3696. And you can see that it has a zeroed out open amount. And then we can also go to
You can go up to the roll exit. Just click the line, go up to roll exit. You should see back here. It is right in the middle. Right in the middle. Two down there.
There you go. So there's the receipt that was generated against our payment. So if we switch back over, you can look at something like the receipt number, 1000358. That matches up with our receipt number in J.D. Edwards. Okay. So now we want to go to...
Yeah, now let's show it, and this is very similar. This will be real quick, but like I said, customer online bill pay. Customer online bill pay can be from inside of our e-commerce application, where it's simply self-service functionality. It could be off of if you've got a Citrix portal for customers consuming reports, and like I said, we can work from the single sign-on, or you've got your own e-commerce application, or you just want to create a separate, a web page for customers to go to pay their bills. But we'll show it from our customer online bill pay from our e-commerce application.
Yes,
but it could be from any third-party application too.
Absolutely. So in terms of our e-commerce, customer online bill pay is almost exactly the same as the CSR doing an invoice payment for a customer. The only difference is, as a customer, you don't have to impersonate a customer. You just log in as yourself.
Right. You're not an employee logging in saying, okay, select customer.
Yep. This time you just go directly to account, open invoice and payment, and then you can go ahead and select your invoices for payment just as before.
And once again, the whole look and feel, you're seeing one iteration of a million possibilities. Companies have their own vision of how they want the look and feel. The columns, we've got that in administration. So the columns, the headings on the columns with the grid right there, 100% under your control. If you want it to be simplified, or additional fields, or even fields brought in that might not be from J.D. Edwards directly, but say F55 or F56 custom tables, or even outside applications. We come into that situation a few times. It's really your vision that we create the deliverable against.
Absolutely.
And then really the last thing is e-commerce sales. And once again, we're going to use our e-commerce application to show a sales order transaction. And go ahead, Matt, and just add some items into the shopping cart.
So creating a sales order in our e-commerce application, it essentially works the same way as...
Let's go to the catalog. Let's just show them the catalog. Just in case you're interested, a lot of people are also interested in our e-commerce, but The catalog itself is very, very important. You see this modern look and feel. Oracle Commerce. Oracle acquired ATG and Endica, and Endica is a search engine. There's two predominant search engines in the e-commerce marketplace. Endica is one of them. They were a pioneer, and it's part of Oracle Commerce, who we compete against in e-commerce sales. And then there's an open source package called Solar. It's in the open source community. It was created by CNET 15 years ago. Solar is used on Best Buy and I mean just so many. Sears.com, they're using the Solar. In fact, WebSphere and Hybris, two big e-commerce engines, they use Solar. So we did the same thing. We took the Solar catalog. What we did is we personalized it. We integrated against the JDE SRP cat codes for personalized catalogs. We're cross-referencing the catalog against a customer master cat code. But this is what you're seeing here. You're seeing 8,000. In fact, you're seeing 8,000 items. And this catalog was created automatically. We've got an import routine, and then we do an index. So the index makes the search intelligent and creates what's called the guided faceted navigation that you're seeing on the left. When you go into Best Buy and you type in TV and drill down to 55, 65 inch, drill down to 3D, drill down to price point this, that's Solar working. And go up to the search engine there and type in a couple of words of, So, this is all automatic, that autocomplete, the spell check. So I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of times people that attend our credit card are also interested on the e-commerce side. We've got a real good e-commerce package. So enough of that. Go ahead and add a couple items into the shopping cart. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry for putting my sales hat on like that.
All right, we'll go ahead and just dump a few in there. Add to cart. Now we have about $47 worth of items in our cart. We'll go ahead and proceed to checkout. So in our e-commerce, we have things like dropship. You can specify a PO number.
Dropship is exactly what a CSR does with ship-to override. Go ahead and click that just to show us an example. So when we process this order in JD Edwards, and we're processing it directly against the business functions, the same 4210 version that you're using, this is what you can see there. Dropship on our website is going to create the order just like ship-to override. But anyway. The point that Matt wanted to get to is this is an e-commerce order. It could be any e-commerce order, and then you get down to the payment options.
Yep. So once you get down to the payment options, we have it configured where if you select credit card or e-check, you're going to go ahead and be forwarded into the EasyPayment screen. So we place the order in our e-commerce beforehand, and we just put it on a hold code or in a hold status, and that's released once EasyPayment actually authorizes the credit card. So we'll go ahead and hit confirm order here.
And once again, this is experience. We used to do the credit card first and then create the sales order, but from our customer base, we said, hey, this is actually better. We actually created sales order 4803. It's on a hold code right now. So it's in JD Edwards. It's not ever going to be a missed order. And then with the credit card payments, in fact,
just go ahead
that is showing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I copied the wrong number. So there's the order in JD Edwards, and it has a CA hold code, and that's released once we actually pay for the order.
A picture tells 1,000.
Yep. Exactly.
That's good, Matt. Thanks.
No problem. All right, so now we can go ahead and just apply that amount on the card and hit authorize payment, just like before.
You got the transaction history. So you're seeing the same payment pad transaction history across all use case scenarios.
So Yeah, that's where the connection comes into play. So if we look at the same screen in JD Edwards, I could just swap over. We'll go ahead and go to the row exit here. You can see the 4729 that I applied for that one card in JD Edwards as well as our Easy Coverage.
And that's a good dramatic way of showing it.
Yeah.
I mean, and once again, it gets back to my prior point. Think of us as the traffic cop. Whatever the use case scenario is, for many JDE companies, a large percentage, it's just customer service, call center people, and we showed that in the first use case scenario, and then there's the other use case scenarios where we're dealing with third-party applications like Magento or something like that, or you just want online customer bill pay, get away from, reduce your DSO and get away from checks and mail, and it's a big push within companies because I don't think anybody out there uses checks to pay their own personal bills anymore. It's all online. So, we showed the use case scenarios, and amazingly, even with me going over my time limit with the slide deck, we've got 5 minutes left. So, Kent, do you want to overview questions? And
well, I'll tell you what, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and start asking them. We're going to go ahead, we'll just run a quick poll to see, where does everyone fit within the PCI compliance scale, and the answers are you're audited and 100% compliant, you're feeling quite confident and good to go, you're working on it, or Kent, here is my credit card number. So while you're thinking of any questions, additional questions, please ask them now, and we'll turn them over to see what Matt and Doug has to say. I do have a question that always comes up. How are we with World, Doug?
yeah, we work with World, even though we're showing everything in terms of the demo with Enterprise One. We recognize totally that there's still a couple of thousand World customers out there. Some people are still investing in World because Oracle hasn't abandoned the green screen customer base. So we have companies, Snyder Paper, many companies, JDE companies, using this application, their JD Edwards World. So any version of JD Edwards World, and what we're doing with World is we're using a 5250 emulator versus, say, the business functions in terms of how we integrate against JD Edwards. We're doing the 5250 emulator. Good question, Ken.
Doug, I know you covered it, but very briefly, if someone's just checking on SharePoint functionality, I can share that. We go within a SharePoint environment as a feature. It's a very light footprint within SharePoint, but our portals are easily managed with Easy Process and really give you powerful user interfaces within SharePoint. I should mention that we utilize a single sign-on that's available through a SharePoint installation, so we are excellent within SharePoint.
And then, Ken, I want to remind everybody, I'm the sales manager. I will be sending the full slide deck. There were more slides, actually, so I'll send you that, inquiring if anybody would like to take a next step with us. I did indicate within the email that we sent out, we offer a try before you buy. Once again, the beauty of cloud deployment. Even if you allow to deploy on premises, if you want to take us up on this offer, there's no obligation on your part, and you would be fully working against your data. With the Rackspace Cloud, we need to get to your network, and we've perfected that. It's a secure a point-to-point VPN connection, and we simply need to know your firewall. For most companies, it's Cisco, but we need to know what your firewall is. We work with you, and a half an hour later, we have that very secure point-to-point VPN between Rackspace. We also work with you then on this named event role that you need. It's very easy for you to install it. It's not intrusive at all in terms of impacting JD Edwards. Matt, did you have a?
Yeah, we have a question. They're asking, when storing cards to keep on file, does your system validate the address on the card along with making sure it's a valid card number, security code, and expiration date? And that's a good question. That's actually dependent on the payment gateway. Most payment gateways on their hosted payment form will ask you to enter in a billing address. If you wanted to go as far as validating something like a shipping address, most payment gateways also support us passing in those parameters to them, and then they can go ahead and verify that information on their side.
That's a good point. Keep in mind that you can process a credit card with as little as 2 fields, a card number and the PAN, which is the number and the expiration date. But once again, we take an agnostic position with the payment gateway. There's some competitors of ours that specifically resell. In other words, you got to go with PayPal as an example. We decided to take an agnostic position where you create the gateway contract, and we'll support any gateway out there. So when you're creating that contract, they're asking you questions like anticipated credit card revenue to determine the rate that they charge you. And security is a big part of that. Security gets into how many fields of data you're going to pass along. And that's why that security code, that's a secondary way of fraud prevention and the chargebacks. So most people today do elect to, ask the consumer for the security code because it lowers that price that you pay for the credit card transaction. There's something called level 1, level 2, and level 3 data. Level 3 data gets into the invoice details. It's especially helpful in P card scenarios, people doing business with the government and that. And once again, we're integrated to JD Edwards, so we support the level 2 and 3. So once again, if you elect with your contract with the payment gateway to do level 3, we simply need to be aware of that and create the deliverable to factor your agreement with the gateway. And that gets into like what Matt was talking about too. Yeah, the zip code and address. They will do verification on that.
Well, we are just about out of time here. There are a few more questions, but Doug will answer those afterwards.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for the time that you spent today. Like I said, you'll see an email from me shortly, also asking if you'd like any level of follow-up. And we appreciate you taking your valuable time on behalf of myself and Kent and Matt. Thank you again. Enjoy the upcoming holidays, Christmas and New Year's. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Thank you.